Hello and welcome to this presentation on MLA 8th edition from the Modern Language Association. This is Brittany Shawley, Public Services Librarian for Johnston Community College. And I will let you know, as a disclaimer, that I did not create this Prezi. This was shared with me from a former colleague and was created by a woman named Laura Randazzo, who also has her own website on MLA formatting if you are interested in getting her expertise. Let's get started. What is MLA? MLA consists of a group of professional scholars who create and periodically update a universal set of guidelines for citing any type of source. Why should we care? Because correct MLA citations will help a reader be able to retrace your research steps, help you build credibility and be more likely to win an argument, give credit where credit is due, and allow you to avoid a serious charge of plagiarism. There are two things you will need to keep track of. First is in-text citations. This is also known as parenthetical notation, and this is how citations are handled within the essay. Let's look at what needs to be cited. Basically, anything that doesn't come from you. This includes direct quotes, paraphrasing, another source's argument or opinions, etc., including images, graphs, and statistics. You also need to keep track of items for your works cited page. This used to be called a bibliography and is a complete list of all sources used in your paper. It is located on the last page of your essay, and there is a specific, easy-to-follow format required. With the new streamlined approach suggested by the 8th edition of the MLA Style Handbook, this is a very super easy, streamlined approach. Let's begin with in-text citations. Suppose you want to use a line from a book or online article you found as part of your essay. All you need to do is include the author's last name and the page number or numbers where you found the material. Then, all of a sudden, it was like I opened my eyes one day and noticed the world is full of beautiful girls, and I've had a hard time thinking about anything else ever since. Let's look at the parenthetical notation. Notice that there is no period here because this is not the end of the sentence. There is no longer a comma in between the author's last name and the page number, and the period goes at the very end. Notice that your parenthetical notation is indeed in parentheses. Another way to handle in-text citations is with signal phrases. If you use the author's name in your sentence, you only need to include the page number as the citation. For example, in her autobiography, Kim Kardashian explains that my first white Range Rover was so special. It was the first car I got on my own. It had pink trim and was such a smooth ride, so comfortable to be in and luxurious. Since we used Kim Kardashian's name right here, we only need to include the page number as part of our parenthetical notation. Again, notice that the period goes at the end of the sentence. Remember, any and every piece of material you use that comes from a source needs to have an in-text citation and needs to be included on your works cited page. It is not optional, and you may not do one or the other. What if you're just summarizing somebody else's idea or somebody else's information? You still need a citation. Let's look at a piece of information from Stephen King's book on writing. Before finding success as a writer, Stephen King worked as a high school English teacher, a profession he admits zapped most of his creative energy. Notice that we are using, again, a signal phrase here and including the author's name so that our parenthetical notation is only consisting of the page number. Or the same information could be presented as such. King said, there's your signal phrase, I liked my coworkers and loved the kids, but by most Friday afternoons I felt as if I'd spent the week with jumper cables clamped to my brain. Parenthetical notation at the end. Next up is the information you're going to need for your works cited page. This is going to give more details about where you found the information in your paper. There are 9 core elements, but not every source is going to have all 9 core elements. So you get to use good judgment. As the MLA handbook says, there is often more than one correct way to document a source. Let's look at each piece in a bit more detail. The first piece is the author's last name and first name. You will need this to begin your citation. Second is the example of source. So this could be a standalone book title if you use the entire book, a chapter or section, newspaper, magazine, or academic journal article title, website, article or headline title, or even a YouTube video title. Third is the example of a container. So this could be the book title that contained the chapter or section you used. Could be the title of the academic journal that an article was located in. It could be a main website that the web page you used was on, the database where a journal and an article were found, or even an online streaming provider such as Netflix or YouTube, or I have even seen people cite Snapchat stories. If it's important to what you're writing about, include information about contributors mentioned on a title page, including edited by, translated by, introduced by, narrated by, etc. It's important to give those people credit also. Let's look at version and number. These will be numbers, so either version, edition, or volume, and 6 will be either the number or the issue. 7 is the name of the publisher, and you are omitting any business words. So you are leaving out company, corporation, incorporated, etc., and their abbreviations. Those are no longer needed. 8th is the publication date. This is the published date for articles and online materials, or the latest date that a website was updated, and the copyright date for printed materials. 9th, you need to use the exact page number for printed materials. For example, you're using P for a single page, PP for multiple pages, or the exact URL for online resources. You are not to use a URL shortener such as bit.ly, tinyURL, or others, and you will omit the HTTP and the HTTPS. Yes, the exact URL is going to look slightly clunky on the page. However, it is often hard for your instructor to retrace your steps without it. Most days, many instructors grade and read papers on screens, and it is convenient for them to have clickable links. Another thing to note is the punctuation. So looking at this convenient chart here, it shows you which type of punctuation to place after each piece of your citation. Notice that after author, title of source, and the location gets a period. Everything else is strung together with commas in between. Again, this is not something that is optional. This is something that is required. When you put it all together, it looks like this. If you use the whole book, if you use just a single page, or if you used a clump of pages. Let's look a bit more in detail. Notice here we only used page 73, so we used P for a single page, and here we used multiple pages, so we abbreviate it PP, period. For this citation, let's look at which of the 9 core elements are included. We have the author, the title of the source, the publisher, the publication date, and the location. Notice that everything in between here is strung together with commas. This is italicized because it's a major work. For smaller pieces like article titles, poems, you would use quotation marks. If you're looking at the note sheet, you can look through this article in Discover Magazine, and once you have written down what you think the citation should look like, go ahead and check yourself. So there is our author, period. Let's look at the rest of that very quickly. This is the title of the article, this is the container, volume, number, publisher, date, and location. A couple notes about containers. If you want to use an article from an online journal called Gale Group, here's what you have. Your citation would look like this. Notice that you must include the full URL. Does it look clunky on the page? Absolutely. Is it necessary? Again, as most instructors grade exactly on the computer screen these days, and it helps to have that clickable, accessible link. So unless you can find this article elsewhere, you'll have to use this entire thing inside your citation. Notice the first chunk ends here, but then the second container, the online database, is included. So it's like a second scoop of information. This line right here. So then again, it begins student resources and context. Sample Works Cited page, we also keep these available for you in the library. And what if more questions arise as you work? You can get the book at the library. We have it on reserve for 4-hour checkout. You can go to style.mla.org where the MLA handbook is digitized, or you can always come in and ask a librarian. If you need additional help, please dial 919-464-2251 to make an appointment with a librarian or stop into the LRC at any time. Thank you for watching.